All right, I'm going to make a controversial but true statement, and that is if you eat truly clean, most people are going to lose body fat even if they try almost to overeat. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And I'm going to go so far as to say that this is an absolutely valid way to even build an impressive physique if you were to go about this. And it's because you're going to lose fat. And if you eat really clean, truly clean, and get enough protein, your recovery is going to be on point, and you're probably going to gain muscle and lose body fat almost no matter what else you do, as long as you're training hard. So what do I mean by truly clean? Notice I didn't say that you have to do low fat. I'm not going to say that you have to do a keto, any of that. I'm going to say that if you choose either route, though, of going pretty high carb and very low fat, or vice versa, it will make this whole idea a lot easier. All right, and I'll give you guys examples of staple foods and then think about what happens when you eat them, okay? Let's assume you're going to do higher fat, and so therefore you focus on what are the clean foods. What are they going to be? Walnuts, natural peanut butter, avocados, things like that, okay? Notice I did not include a bunch of saturated fats because I actually think saturated fat is detrimental to body composition on a calorie for calorie basis. I don't consider it to be particularly clean eating. I'm going to say that at most some lean steak or maybe a couple of eggs could be worked in every day, but that's about it in terms of saturated fat on that sort of approach if you're going to do a higher fat. So because it comes down to insulin sensitivity and then digestibility, and particularly if you combine these sort of methods with fasting. So what happens if you eat that way? Anyone who's eaten that way realizes you get almost loose stool. In other words, if you fasted a little bit in the mornings and then go to these sort of foods, even if you try to overeat, what ends up happening? With all those nuts, you're going to be up in the middle of the night, probably going to the bathroom a couple times. Like, you're not going to be able to eat enough of these to overeat and gain fat. And what happens when you take that sort of dietary approach, if you even try to force feed to overeat, if you eat to the point of gastric uncomfortability, you'll tend to get loose stool and you waste calories to some extent. Like, it's almost impossible to pull it off. And people forget that when we discuss calories in, calories out, these really high calorie intake absorption levels are assuming that you're eating refined foods. That's why I tell people only really serious athletes, like endurance type athletes, benefit from refined foods. And those people actually can, and they can stay lean. And those are the people who can force down a little bit of extra refined sugar. Those are the people who really should focus on white rice, things like that. People who have really, really high energy outputs because they can utilize those calories. Okay, but if we're going to come over to people who aren't doing that, what you're going to find is that you're not going to be able to really get that many calories in. That I would suggest to you that by the time you start trying to hit 3,000 calories, even if you're a grown man of those sort of foods, okay, what's going to happen? You're going to start excreting a higher amount of it, undigested, unabsorbed. Like, you're not going to be able to do it, but you're still going to get great nutrition. So it's not like, oh, there you go, you lost all the nutrition. No, you're getting all those phytonutrients, fiber, vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, proteins, okay? But that sort of dietary approach, anyone who's done that, eating a lot of nuts like that, particularly, again, clean fats, healthy fats are all liquid at room temperature, and then they all include fiber in that case, right? Think about it. All the nuts, whether it's peanut butter, walnuts, almonds, cashews, they fall in that category. What about the other healthy fats? Avocados, olives, things like that. Again, I do not advocate people eat a bunch of saturated fats, so that would include coconut oil, and all those things. So if you eat in this manner, what happens? Well, you're going to have upward limit, and the more you try to push the calories up, just the more you excrete out. Like, you're going to probably lose body fat at a certain point, even though you might in theory be trying to overfeed. Okay? And I've observed it myself. I've observed it in other people. In fact, if you try to do that, you just becomes uncomfortable. You won't even be able to do it. So what happens? You by default end up probably losing some body fat and recompositioning, no matter what you do, if you eat this way all the time. Okay? Same thing if we go over to the high starch route. Now, you can bypass all this by eating the slightly more refined grains of white rice and everything. But how about brown rice, beans? Okay, so let's assume you go that route of truly clean brown rice, beans. You try to eat that as staple calories. Any of you out there ever tried to eat 2,000 calories of brown rice and beans? So what would that be? Let's say 600-700 calories of brown rice, 2 cans of pinto beans. Try to spread that out through several meals. Okay, what's one of the things you're going to notice? Actually, you end up getting great nutritional value, great satiety. But if you notice when you eat that way, when you go to the bathroom, there's a lot of undigested fiber and everything still comes out, kind of cleans the system out. You're not going to be able to overeat it. And in other words, what ends up happening with foods like this, our total threshold ends up being probably below 4,000 calories before you're excreting fecal calories. Okay? And that is the way it works. Again, the only way most of you out there are on a starch-based diet, and then you work in potatoes or something for satiety, the only guys who are successfully bulking, truly gaining real weight, and I'm not saying you need to do that, by the way. It's never necessary to really do that. The only ones who are doing it with white rice, white pasta. That's the guys who pull it off on a starch-based diet. And even then, if the fat's really low, they still sometimes recomp. Okay, so what I'm suggesting here is that if you eat any of in these manners, and this is where you get your calories from, make sure you get plenty of protein. You're probably just going to recomposition. If you're overweight, you'll probably lose weight. All right? Even if you try to eat till you're full all the time. Short of a serious binge eating issue, you're not going to overeat on eating any of these methods. And if the protein is high enough, which again, around that 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, and you're training hard, you're resting, you'll probably gain some muscle anyways. And for the people who really do have serious overeating and binge eating issues, people like me, you're not going to be able to binge on those foods. All that's going to end up happening is you just go to the bathroom more as a result. You're not going to overeat them. So we can argue all day long about calories in and calories out, and we should, but these sort of methods, because again, we come over to calories out. The thermic effect of these sort of foods combined with, again, fecal calorie loss and everything else when you're eating in this manner, nobody can get fat doing this. It is not going to happen if you are physically active. Like most people, if they tried to eat in either of those two clean approaches year round, would end up with a 6-pack. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.